Okay, so this is the beginning of the Yuri Sakazaki tutorial. Yuri's a very strong character. Yuri's a character that's on Romance's main team. Bala is starting to play her in Mexico on his main team. She has lots of potential, lots of great anti-airs, really good combo damage in and out of HD, one-frame command grab. She has almost all the tools she needs to be, well, what am I saying? She has all the tools she needs to be an excellent character. Great mix-ups, great almost everything. I'll get into some of her weaknesses and what you can do to fight her and how to use her well in this video. Okay, so I want to start with her standing normals as usual. Her standing A is below average. It doesn't have a whole lot of range. It's also kind of slow compared to a lot of standing A's. You usually won't find a lot of use for this. Maybe in close range strings you can kind of use it, but other than using it in your opponent's face, like at her low short in a string, there really isn't going to be a whole lot of use for standing jab. If you want to anti-air someone, like with a normal at that height, but you want to hit a standing hard punch, it's going to reach further. I think technically the A comes out a little faster, but this little bit of extra reach ends up mattering a lot because Yuri actually doesn't have a whole lot of range. Yuri's range, as far as normals go, isn't that great. She has a decent run speed, okay, so she can very easily like run up and hit you with something. But the idea is, because of that extra range on the C, it's going to be a better anti-air. Standing light kick as well, okay? Standing light kick is probably her best one. I'll get into why when I get into her special move section, but the idea is, this standing light kick has a very nice angle on it, just about 45 degrees. Catches most jumps, will trade with a lot of things, and will beat other things. Very quick on startup. Your standing light kick is also cancelable, and it's going to end a lot of your strings and go into combos for you. Let's see, on the hard kick, it hits a similar spot as standing light kick. It hits a little further out, but it is a little slower. Usually you don't see it a whole lot in upper level matches. You could use it feasibly as an anti-air because of the angle and the reach on it, but due to its speed you usually don't see that. In close range, her hard punch and her hard kick change. The hard kick is slower than the hard punch, so whenever you're trying to frame trap or get a quick attack out, you want to use the close hard punch, okay? Close hard punch, like most others, is cancelable, okay? And close hard kick is also cancelable. Basically, the close hard kick is just a little slower to give you some more variation in your frame traps or other parts of your game. Now, her standing CD is interesting. It doesn't look like it has a lot of range. Quite honestly, it doesn't feel like it should. But for some reason, it's just really, really, really excellent at beating attacks that it just has no business beating. Like, it doesn't look like it reaches out there, but it does. I can't really explain it. It's got some ginormous hitbox on it that we can't see, but it hits way out of range where it doesn't seem like it should. Okay, and similar to the standing B, you can use standing B and standing CD almost preemptively to just sort of throw these out, and it's very, very tough for your opponent to jump at you. But she has very, very good standing normals overall. Crouching wise, crouching A is a similar story to standing A. It's not like you can use it in close range strings, but other than that, you're not really going to use it for much else. Her crouching B is going to be the one you use most of the time. You can chain it into itself. You can chain back and forth. Excuse me. You cannot chain the crouching light kick. Well, let's see. I'm pretty sure that's a chain. Yeah, so you can chain from the jab to the short, but if you do that, first of all, the timing is later than the chain from the short to the jab. The timing is different. Not to mention, if you do that, you basically have to go to something else. But you can go from one to the other, but the timing for that actual chain is different. But the crouching B hits low. The crouching light kick is not cancelable, and the crouching light punch is. Okay, so you could do a string like this. You could do that, or you could, of course, go into a standing light kick. That'll work too. Now, her crouching hard punch is very good. It has good startup and reaches really high. Similar to Kyo, Yuri, and Shen, and other characters that have good, quick, vertical crouching Cs. Its ability as an anti-air is going to depend on the spacing between you and your spacing, but because it reaches rather high compared to her height, this can catch a lot of super jumps depending on the character you're fighting. Okay, but she is kind of short, so it's possible that depending on the character, it might miss. It's going to depend on the character you're fighting, but it's a good anti-air for super jumps. It's good on reaction because it's so quick on startup. Just don't whiff it, and yeah, and just don't whiff it, and just keep in mind it's gonna trade sometimes. It's gonna trade sometimes. It's gonna depend on the spacing between you, what normal they use, you know, things like that. In fact, this one seems a little better at beating things. Just, you know, let's test this on CD. Let's go ahead. There we go. There's the trade. This is my uneducated opinion, considering I don't main her, but I think her crouching C is a little bit better as far as beating other crouching normals, beating jumping normals than most. It has a very, very nice hitbox on it. Feel free to use that liberally as an anti-air, just don't whiff it. Her crouching hard kick has pretty good range on it. It reaches further than her other crouching normals, so you can use this, like, say, after 3 crouching light kicks to try to maintain the pressure. It's also cancelable. Okay, her crouching C is also cancelable. So, basically 3 of her 4 crouching normals are cancelable, and for most characters that's the case. Most characters have a cancelable crouching A, and crouching C, and crouching D. Okay, so next we want to get into the jumping normals. And in Yuri's case, these are all really good. They really all are. Let me turn off the display and go to town here. Her jumping light punch is, let's see, what's a way to put this? Her jumping light punch is pretty good air to air, but I have to say that, let's see. Her jumping light punch is pretty good air to air, but her jumping CD kind of outclasses it. Jumping CD is where she sticks her butt out like that. Jumping A is a pretty good air to air, but the key difference here, and this is one of the universal things about KOF, is her jumping light punch is actually cancelable. Okay? Okay, and what I mean by cancelable is, like, you know how you can cancel the crouching D into specials? Well, in KOF, if a character has air special moves, which Yuri actually has one, or air command normals, and she has one of those too, then you can always cancel it from a jumping light punch. So you can go from jumping light punch to the air command normal, or you can go from jumping light punch into the air fireball. In this case, go to the EX fireball. Okay, so there's things that she can do with her jumping light punch as far as combo potential, also as far as, like, kind of instant overheads, kind of. It's like, because she hops so quickly and because the A doesn't come out quick enough, I'm not certain if she can actually fully instant overhead people like this. But it's something to think about. Like, just the idea that you can just sort of jump jab like that. Like, if you could jump in on someone, and instead of landing, you could throw the air special. Okay? The lower and the further away you do this, the better. Okay? But this is just an interesting thing that Yuri can do. Other characters can do this. King can cancel her jump light punch into air venom strike. Rolf can cancel her, Rolf can cancel his jumping jab into his air dive punch, but, you know, so this is sort of a universal thing. Is if you have an air special move or air command normals, you can usually cancel to them from your jumping light punch. Okay? And Yuri can absolutely use that. And as I was talking about her jumping CD, probably her best air to air overall. Also good air to ground pressure. It just has a really fat hitbox on it. She just has a really big butt. There's not much to say about that. That's pretty much just how it works. It's just a really, really nice hitbox on it. You can set up all sorts of nice things off of it. It can even cross up. Like, look at this. Ah, look at that. It crosses up. It crosses up rather consistently, too. So, honestly, it's probably her best overall jumping normal, but her other ones are going to be useful for different purposes. Her jumping hard punch can cross up, like that. So you can use that as a cross up after various setups. You can use that as a cross-up after various setups. Particularly, like, there are certain setups you're going to find where you can do a super jump into cross-ups. Her jumping hard punch and her jumping hard kick are both excellent at this. They both have very fat cross-up hitboxes on them and both grant combos if you do actually land that hit. So her jumping hard punch and hard kick are almost interchangeable. The difference would be that the hard punch is a little slower to start up, and the hard kick also is a little more functional as an air-to-air. I honestly don't use the hard punch a whole lot, but you can use it as variation in your jump-in game. And her jumping light kick is also very good. It's active for a very long time, and it hits very horizontally, okay? In fact, if I'm not mistaken... Okay, well... Oh, come on. Okay. Yeah, it's not active forever, but it can really seem like it's active forever. It also crosses up. The cross-up hitbox on this doesn't feel... Well, it might be, yeah. She just has very, very nice cross-up hitboxes on most of her jumping normals. In fact, let's just check this. Yeah, jumping light punch also. All 5 of her jumping normals cross up rather easily. So you want to make sure you are utilizing that ability, okay? Let's see. Let's see, but her jumping light kick is active a long time. Because it is active a long time, it's very good defensively. If you neutral hop in place... Okay? If you neutral hop in place, it's very difficult to get around a Yuri who's doing neutral jump light kick or neutral jump CD to occupy this space. When you combine this with the standing light kick and the standing CD, which are also both excellent anti-airs, this makes it so that it's very, very hard to actually approach Yuri on the ground. And this is something you're going to be thinking about, because if you think about it, her jumping normals, her grounding normals, even like her fireball, which I'm going to get to, they don't have a lot of range. She can barely touch you when she's at half screen. And that's basically only with the fireball or by hopping in. So, right here, like, if she's any further away, she has absolutely nothing she can do that actually reaches you for the most part. So what you can do here is forge a strong defense. A hop CD, hopping light kick, standing light kick, standing CD, even standing hard punch and standing D. And if you forge a strong defense at this range, then your opponent might get too defensive, and you can do something with it. Oh, it's on set on all guard. Okay. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now I want to go into the command normals. As far as the normals go. First I want to cover forward light punch before I get to the other one. So this is another butt-looking normal. This is an overhead. Okay, notice it's set to crouch guard here. So it's just they just hold down back and they block, but overheads they get hit by. Forward light punch is an overhead. Just like other command normals, you can chain into it, but just like other command normals that are overheads, if you do chain into it, it's no longer an overhead at that point. Now, if you do it by itself, you might say, well, what can I do off of that? Well, unfortunately, there is only one thing you can do off of it, okay? And I want to I want to show you that you pretty much should do something off of it, too. Okay? If you hit someone in the face with it, like right in front of them, then the person who actually got hit by it actually has advantage. This is negative on hit. If this hits, you need to do something when it hits, otherwise your opponent is going to have that advantage, and if they have a one-frame command grab or something, they will absolutely be able to take advantage of this. So you want to make sure you don't just hit with it by itself, because it's not really going to do much in that sense, at least when you're close to your opponent, okay? So, what can you do off of it? Well, there's only one thing you can do off of it. It's rather expensive. I haven't covered it yet, but all you can do with forward light punch is cancel it into her Neomax. That's it. There's not much else you can do with it. Now there is, that's just on the surface. There is something you can do with it. It involves a meaty attack. It's difficult to do. It's not, let's see. How do I set up a meaty here? Okay, they don't need to guard for this, but there's a concept where if you hit someone at the beginning of a move, it has a certain amount of frame advantage, right? And we said that this had frame disadvantage. But this has a lot of active frames on it. In other words, this has lots of different periods of time where this attack can hit. If you hit with this forward light punch really, really late into the attack, it's possible for you to actually combo after it, and I'll show you how here. Just a little early. Oh, missed it. Miss. Got it. Notice that forward light punch to the crouching fierce combos. Oh, I stunned her. Oh, darn it. Oh, let me turn off the stun. Anyways, maybe you get the idea, but basically you can do, if you this is Romance does this. If he knocks you down in the corner, you need to be worried about this, because if he gets that late, he's gonna get a combo off of that, and if he has a bar and a drive, or two, he's really gonna make it hurt. Look at that. That's, let's see, the combo involving the forward light punch did 638 damage for 2 bars and a drive. It's pretty excellent. You can use this forward light punch in particular knockdown situations to try to scare them into blocking high. Okay, it's really, really important, like, if you want to be a really, really good Yuri, to learn how to use this. Okay, and even if you don't end it with the super, there's plenty you can do off of that. That forward light punch can be utilized if you do it meaty. Meaty is the term for hitting it late in the active frames. If you hit with a meaty forward light punch, you can get some big damage off of it, and it's something that you want to think about if you want to be an intermediate or an advanced Yuri player. But if you're a beginner, don't worry about it too much. It's difficult to do. The combo afterwards is somewhat difficult, and it's going to take a lot of practice for something that you don't really have a lot of use for quite yet. Now, her other command normal is the big one, the dive kick. Okay. First of all, I want to stress that in KOF, dive kicks are nowhere near as shall we say, egregious as they might be in other games. But, and the key thing is the angle, okay? Here's a defensive thing to recognize. If you're playing against a Yuri player and they do a lot of dive kicks, here's what you want to recognize, okay? Let's say they super jump at you and dive kick, right? What you want to recognize is KOF is a movement game. Why would you ever be... Let's show this example a little closer here, just to stress. The dive kick has a very steep downwards angle. So let me ask you this. In a game that has a forward run, a backdash, 2 neutral jumps, 4 forwards jumps, and 4 backwards jumps, why would you allow someone to be at your forehead level or right on the back of your head? Think about that for a second, okay? Run around. Neutral hop. Neutral jump. Like, think about all the spaces in the stage that dive kick doesn't hit. And then ask yourself, why was I in the one part of the screen where this attack actually hits? This is not that big of a deal, okay? Her dive kick isn't that great for just using a lot. She can't just jump and dive kick and get in on her opponent. That's not how it works. The steep angle makes it so that it's not a very good approaching move, okay? It's great if your opponent blocks it or gets hit by it. But if they're not blocking it or getting hit by it, it's a very subpar jump in, because it doesn't hit a big enough part of the screen to be a threat. Someone that is backdashing a lot, or someone that is hopping away with normals a lot, you know, like, you might be pushing them to the corner, but the dive kick just doesn't work in the sense of trying to approach with it. It's not super scary. What you can try to do, though, is, let's say, for example, let's do it this way. Let's say you're trying to jump in on a Yuri player here. Well, just trying to jump in. You're Yuri, and you're trying to jump in. And she keeps anti-airing you or whatever else. What you can do is you can use the dive kick to try to alter your jump angle. Okay? Okay? If your opponent is using reactive anti-airs against you, you can use the dive kick to try to throw them off. Another thing you can do is, keep in mind, you can do the dive kick on any jump, okay? Backwards hop, neutral hop, forwards hop, hyper hop backwards, hyper hop forwards, full jump backwards, full jump forwards, neutral jump. No matter what jump it is, you can always do the dive kick. So you can use this to alter your jump angle. You can also use it from a backdash. This is another universal KOF thing, with like a couple exceptions. King is an exception here. But if you have air specials, or air command normals, not only can you do them from jumping light punch, but you can also do them from backdashes. Notice I hit double tap back, and then quarter forward light kick. You can do this. This is is a really good trick in the corner. Turn on the passive move here. Okay, so it can be useful as a tricky thing to try to throw off your opponent's anti-air and to try to throw off their defense. Now, let's talk about what happens if they actually block this thing. Okay, it's kind of ridiculous. It's really good. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where this connects. If they actually block this, you have a massive amount of frame. You have a massive amount of frame advantage no matter where they block this. It doesn't matter if they're the tallest character in the game and you hit them in the temple. Doesn't matter. If they block this, you have a absolutely ridiculous massive amount of frame advantage, okay? If you hit them lower, like this is at least +3, at least, and you can make it even better. If you hit with it, if you get it lower, we're talking like +8, +9 territory, okay? It's ridiculous, okay? There's lots of mix-ups you can do if they actually block this, okay? But specifically because of the massive advantage, you can do lots of things and play with your opponent multiple ways, okay? I'll go into those ways a little bit further after I cover her moves, but what you need to know is it's really good if they block it. So it doesn't have a lot of range, not a great approach, but you can use it to throw off their anti-air game, try to make them move, throw their defense off, use it from backdashes to be tricky, okay? But specifically, if they do block this, you have an offensive opportunity, a very large one, and so you should try to take advantage of it. Okay, so try to think of that. Now, if it hits, you might say, okay, so Juice, what if it hits? Well, if it hits, you get whatever you want, okay? You can combo any single standing normal, I think, except for standing light kick. Hold on. Excuse me, standing hard kick. Even if you hit, again, tallest character in the game, say you hit Maxima, right on the top center of his head, doesn't matter. You can always combo a close hard punch, always, okay? Okay, so you can combo that if you like, or if you would like it easier, you can go into your more basic string. Okay, either way, you always get a combo, always. Okay, I haven't covered it yet, but you could just use her one frame command grab by itself. Notice it does 5 hits. You could just do the command grab by itself as soon as you see what side you're on. Boom. Oh, and you notice how I said what side you're on? It crosses up really, really well. Just like all her other jumping normals, has a great cross-up hitbox on it. And your goal as a Yuri player is to maximize the use of this move. If you can get your opponent to block a lot of these, there's a good chance you're going to have an excellent rushdown. And you're going to have great HD combos if you can do that too. You can seriously combo anything off of this. Okay, so her down forward light kick is excellent. Okay, it's really excellent. Oh, it should also be said, because of that downward angle, it will lose to pretty much anything in the air. If your opponent is in the air at the same time as you and you're doing a dive kick, you're probably going to lose because it's not a functional air-to-air whatsoever. So if you're playing against a Yuri player who likes to use dive kicks, especially like in the neutral game, just jump at her. Like seriously, if you're in the air and she's in the air and she's doing this, you're going to win. There's almost no way this is going to win in the air-to-air. So unless she's trying to bait you, you don't think she's trying to bait you, just get in there, mix it up. And she won't be able to use this too much. Move around or meet her in the air, and you can easily counter this if she's using it too much. Okay, so next I gotta cover her specials. I know it looks like a lot, but it actually is not as difficult because most of them aren't that special. First is Siha! Okay, light, hard, quarterback light, quarterback hard, and quarterback both. What you need to know about this, it has a pretty good anti-air hitbox on it. Okay, it hits really well in front of her, okay? You can use this as an alternative to a normal if you want to take a little bit more risk, but the issue with it is that if you do hit with the light Siha, you're going to knock him away. There's really nothing you're going to get unless you drive cancel it. Okay, so that in mind, unless you do want to drive cancel it, most people just stay away from it because this has a lot of recovery on it. If they were to just say this, like if they don't, like, you know, I set the dummy to do 2 jabs and then jump, so if you predict and you do the wrong thing, you can totally get punished. And the Siha has a lot of recovery on it. The Fierce one has a bunch of startup on it, so it just hits later. Okay, it recovers a little faster though. Siha. It's about... don't know the exact recovery frames, but the Fierce one I think knocks a little higher. Hold on. There we go. The Fierce one will knock higher. Okay? The light one just sort of knocks away, but the Fierce one knocks higher. Because the Fierce one knocks higher, you can combo after it even if you're just on the ground. Without a drive cancel if you're... let's see here. Let's see if mid-screen I can do something here. Let's see. Let's see. Mid-screen, I don't think you're going to get much other than a super. You can just do a super off that. But the point is, you're probably going to hit them while they're in the air. And since they are in the air, you will be able to get something better usually. I'll get into what that is when I get to the Demon Flip move, but what you want to know is that if you actually anti-air someone with the Fierce Siha, which is harder because of the extra startup, if you do that, then what ends up is going to happen is because you knock them higher, you're usually going to have better combo opportunity, up to and including, you know, big damage things. Let's see here. What's a good thing I could do here? Oh, not that. Let's try... That's too far. I mean, you could just super. You could absolutely use the Demon Flip thing, which I'll show you. If you get them in the corner, you should be able to get something even better. Okay, so the Siha moves are somewhat risky, but they can give you a good payoff for an anti-air. Remember, I was already talking about how good her normals are for air-to-air, for anti-air, and for cross-ups and everything. So she doesn't occupy a lot of the screen, but she has a lot of really good rewards for the parts of the screen she does occupy, and Siha exemplifies this. She lands a light, she could drive cancel into more, and it's quick. She lands a Fierce, it's going to knock you higher, and she could get a super or something. The EX version starts up quickly, and knocks, let's see, let's check this. Leg next to the guard gauge. Okay, the EX one knocks higher than the Fierce one and starts up faster. Okay, so now here's the other thing about this. You cannot, well as I'm aware, yeah, like you can combo to the light Siha, but you don't get anything off of it again unless you drive cancel. That's number one. So, what about the Fierce? Well, you can't combo to the Fierce either unless you drive cancel into it. Okay, like if you do something like this. Okay, so you do something like that. The Sihas grant full juggle, okay, so you can combo with whatever you want. In a lot of corner combos, you're going to see something like this, where you go into Siha, like that's one option that you have. Okay. If you level 2 super there, it's gonna connect because it's faster. But the EX Siha can be used to actually combo and grant a juggle from normals, specifically crouching C and standing C. Either way. And if you do land the EX Siha, no matter where you are on the screen, you can get something off of it, okay? Okay, so EX Siha is a good option to go to as far as combos, because you know you're going to get something off of it no matter where you are on the screen, and if you're in the corner, you get something even better. So, I want to take a step back because I covered Siha, but I didn't cover her throws. She actually has an air throw, okay? But specifically, on her normal throw, she runs relatively fast. So if you do get a normal throw, you can actually you can actually maintain your offense. Even though they do a quick recover on the normal throw, you absolutely can maintain your offense by simply super jumping at your opponent or by running at them. Shotoken! So just keep that in mind if you do land a normal throw, which you won't see a whole lot in high level play, and I'll get to why in a bit. If you for some reason do get a normal throw, you can absolutely maintain your offense. Now Yuri has an air throw. Okay, if you just hold forward or up forward while you're in the air, okay, and hit hard punch, you get an air throw. Okay, you just have to be at about the same height. Okay, you have to be at about the same height. It's going to be 100 damage, and you're going to get a knockdown, which looks a lot like this. It's basically the same knockdown, and I'll get to what this is in a moment, because that's not quite the air throw. But if someone is in your face, like doing a bunch of this, let's have a good example here. Okay, if someone's doing a bunch of rehops in your face, you could hold up forward. Okay. And if they keep doing the hops like at the improper timing so that they don't actually force you to block, then you can go ahead and just hit up forward and hit C, and you're going to throw them out of those rehops. Naturally, this means you won't be guarding low, so just be wary of the mix-up. But the idea is, if your opponent just keeps doing jump attack, jump attack, jump attack, jump attack, you absolutely can't interrupt that with air throw. Now, anyone else in the game, you could just hit standing A. And Yuri can do this too. Don't forget the fundamentals. Every character can hit standing A. In Yuri's case, standing hard punch is good. Uppercut maybe is an option, depending on where they're jumping at. But Yuri has the additional option of air throw, so it's something you want to keep in mind. And if you actually land the air throw... Oops. Screen start. You do knock them somewhat far away, and but for one trick, which I'll also explain later, there's really not a whole lot of ways you can maintain your offense on that, but there is a way, and I'll get to it. So, back to the specials. Koken. That's a fireball. But it doesn't reach very far. It honestly doesn't. The EX reaches a little further, but it just doesn't go anywhere. Now, this is still useful, though. Useful in the sense that it is basically her longest range poke, okay? She can't really hit you from anything over here without hopping, but she can throw a fireball, okay? So, if you don't want to hyper hop at your opponent, but you do want to attack them, then you can go ahead and throw a fireball at this half screen range, the fierce fireball specifically, and that'll work. What you want to keep in mind is that the fierce one actually moves her forward a little bit. Like if you look at her back heel here, like notice where her back foot is, like just on the edge of the screen. I'm gonna throw a fierce one now, and notice she inches forward like that. So the fierce one, because of that little inch forward, it moves. It goes a little further. It also has slower startup, so you want to keep that in mind. But besides that. Okay. Besides that, the light and fierce are very similar, same size hitbox and everything. The EX one starts up quickly and travels even further. Okay, it actually travels away from her hand pretty far. Shotoken! Okay, honestly, outside of combos and outside of this half-screen sort of spacing thing, you don't see it a whole lot elsewise. Don't throw it out here. There's no point. There's really no point. Like, it's not going to do you any good. You might build a little bit. In fact, you don't even build any meter for whipping this. Look at my meter. You don't build any meter whatsoever. If you want to build some meter when you're far away, whip a Siha. This is a lot of meter, by the way. Whip a Siha or something. Okay. Hakuretsu Binta. Half circle back kick. This is important, okay? The light kick version is a 1-frame command grab. It comes out the exact frame that you hit that light kick, okay? And due to this, it is an invincible wake-up move. Okay, now this is the light kick version. Oops, missed it. Okay, it'll just go through anything they try to attack you with. Now the hard kick version is not one frame. Notice when I hit hard kick here, she sort of hesitates where she is in the moment at that spot. She just sort of sits there for a second, and then she runs forward, okay? You could try to cancel into the hard kick version, like off of particular normals, to try to get like a running command grab, and it's possible to do that if you time it right, but the issue is that the timing is somewhat specific, and the startup of it can kind of give it away against better players. So what you want to do is, usually if you want to attack someone with this command grab, what you want to do is run forward and use the light one. Don't hesitate right here and use the hard one to automatically run forward. That's too slow, okay? I want to just do a little quick experiment here. Notice this. That's with the hard kick, but I could do this. If you run up and do the light kick one, that's going to be faster. So the hard kick version is not terribly useful. I believe I've seen it used in some punishes, or you can use it like in this tricky sense. Like if you use it at the very tip of a certain range and cancel very particular normals, it's possible to get that running grab to actually work. You want to keep in mind the throw invincibility that exists in KOF, because remember, like you can't just throw someone that's in block stun or even coming right out of block stun. Okay, and if you, like even if you land like a close hard punch, let's see. Well, close hard punch does combo into it, but the idea is if they block something and then you go ahead and go into the half circle back hard kick, it's not going to work unless you space it absolutely perfectly and cancel it at the perfect timing. Okay, so it's not terribly useful. Now the EX version is not a command grab. This version doesn't grab someone who's blocking this. Notice I'm going to set them to all guard. This is just an attack that if it hits them, you get to slap them silly. Okay, and that's basically it. Another thing to notice is that the EX command grab actually has unscaled damage. No matter where you are in a combo, this always does 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 60. Always. Even if you threw it on the end of a 99 hit combo, this will always do 100 damage, so it's something to keep in mind. But that said, as far as the three command grabs go, the EX version is fully invincible on startup, and the light one is also invincible, being that it's a one-frame grab, okay? But they are separate reversals. Okay? So, you can use the light kick and the hard kick versions as wake-up moves if your opponent is rushing you down. The light kick version is great if your opponent is blocking too much. You know, if you're able to actually just inch forward and actually run forward against someone, you can absolutely get this, and you can drive cancel that slap into damage whether you have a super meter or if you don't. Okay, you can always get something extra off the command grab if you want to do that. Let's see. It should also be stated the EX command grab is really tough to punish on block. There's a lot of players who have trouble punishing this, even at a higher level. She just seems to recover so quickly. It's not a terribly quick recovery per se. What it is just the fact that she bounces off and you don't get a close range normal for a punish. So you have to have a particular punish ready. If you come across a Yuri player and they do this, try to think of a very quick move you have that reaches. You should be able to punish this. This is something like -6 or something silly. One guard jump. It's pretty bad. It's like -7, -8. It's just a matter of you having the reactions to do something that's quick enough that also reaches pretty far. Let's see. Let's see. Next we have her uppercut. Show uppa! Okay, the light one doesn't go very far, the fierce one goes a bit further. The EX version goes even further. Did she say Chosei? You'll say? You're safe? Is she calling a baseball slide? You're safe! Ah, whatever. What was I gonna say? Speed it up, speed it up, speed it up. Jose, yes, she says Jose. Now, as far as it's an uppercut, so you might be thinking, oh, it's an uppercut. Is it invincible? Well, let's check. There we go. That's meaty. I want to show you this. Fierce Uppercut is not invincible. Hard Punch, no. However, the Light Punch version is. The Light Punch version is invincible, but the Hard Punch is not. The EX is also invincible, okay? Now, it's not just lower body, either. Fierce, also not upper body invincible. The light version is upper body invincible. And the EX version is, like, the point is the light and the EX are both full body invincible, but because of the forward movement on it, the EX version needs to be spaced very particularly to be used as an anti-air. It's possible you'll go under them if you're too close. So you want to be very, very careful. Okay? Don't try to anti-air with the EX one. It goes too far. Okay? Now, the light version, because it doesn't travel very far, is an excellent uppercut. If you see someone jump at you, the light version is excellent. Just as good as Kyo's light uppercut, just as good as, that's another good one. Kyo's light uppercut, just as good as a bunch of crouching hard punches. If you have good reaction time, you can absolutely light uppercut everything in the game. Yeah, K-Dash has a good light uppercut. This will beat everything. It has full body invincible, so it's just a matter of you timing it right. Okay? And even if you do that, you can drive cancel it into bigger damage. Her light uppercut is very, very useful. Okay? It's something that you want to strive to do if you want to be a higher level player. Try to uppercut their jump-ins if you can. But remember, it's usually safer and more consistent to anti-air with normals. Anti-airing with uppercuts is something you'll do as you get better, as your reactions improve, and as you get better at KOF in general. Let's see. It should also be said, hard punch uppercut is going to be your combo ender of choice as a beginner. As you get better at your combos and such, and at your string timing, you can try to combo into command grab. But it should be said, if you try to combo to command grab, your string timing needs to be perfect. Crouch B, standing B can combo to it, but you need to be quick. Whoops. This is why I double tap, to make sure that the normals come out as quickly as possible every time. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's just something you want to think about. Let's see. So we got uppercut, good anti-air. Hey! Rayoken. This is a fun one. Quarter forward light kick is an interesting zoning move, which might have been very annoying if you remember CBS2. The light kick, if you do the light kick one on the ground, she just sort of does a little hop and throws this fireball at a 45-degree angle. If you do the hard kick one, she throws the same 45-degree angle, but she goes higher in the air. And it also travels further because you're higher in the air. Okay? So you can use this to be very annoying, but what you want to keep in mind is if your opponent has anything that's invincible, it's not hard to react to this. Okay? This is a very slow move. Like, if you compare it to just the jump CD, what's going to be faster? Actually, like, not... And in fact, that shows another weakness of it. Like, Rayoken is kind of slow, and plus, considering the downward angle on it, it doesn't really have a whole lot of anti-air use, okay? Really, it doesn't. So what this is for, in my opinion, I could be wrong on this, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is great for annoying your opponent who's being too defensive in the corner. Your opponent's just sort of sitting there, just throw these out. This is really annoying to deal with, okay? And it makes them think I have to jump, okay? As I showed you in this example, if I just sort of jump at you because it has that low angle on it, there's a really good chance I'm going to jump over it, even if you do the hard kick version. Okay? Remember, the hard kick one is even slower, okay? But if I were to full jump the hard kick one, we're going to have a similar situation. It's going to depend on the spacing between us, okay? But super jumps are definitely going to beat both no matter what, okay? Okay? So that said, you want to make sure, if your opponent is really, really jumpy, don't use these. They're not that great. But, as someone who's blocking a lot in the corner, it's an interesting thing to try to cancel into. Like, let's set him to all guard here. Let's see. Like, you can use Ryokens in Ryokens. You can use them in, like, your corner pressure against overly defensive opponents to make them really, really regret continuing to block. You see that? There's lots of cool things you can do with it. Okay. Now the EX version of this, if you do this on the ground, she does kind of like an automatic hyper hop, and she throws out a really nice projectile there, and it actually hits twice. Oops, give me meter. Okay, well, 3 times, excuse me. It actually is 3 fireballs really close together. Okay. You can use this to actually try to cross someone up, depending on, like, if you get a good knockdown. Let's set them to not passive move here, just to show you an example. Let's see. Oops. You can be really, really tricky with these, okay? If you throw this at the right spot, your opponent might not know where you are. Remember, they don't block the projectile, they block where you are. If you're on the right, they hold left. If you're on the left, they hold right. You can use this to be really tricky as far as cross-ups are concerned. If you get an untakeable knockdown, you can try to do something like that. Now, that's the ground version, but the air version is also really, really good. That's the next move on the list. You can do Ryokens in the air, so if you're just jumping, you can input a quarter forward kick and you get something. Now in this case, there are, again, distinct differences. So you can do it at any point during any jump. If you do the light one, you automatically stop where you are, do the Rayoken, and then you fall harmlessly to the ground. Okay, and there is a recovery period on this. So if you do this, if your opponent were to say roll past it or just avoid it, they would be able to punish your landing and get something. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Don't overuse really this one either. And now the hard version, you don't stay in the air, okay? You just continue on whatever momentum you were at. This means that if you do it too late, you'll just land, okay? And keep in mind, like I'm gonna hold up here just so you can see the recovery period. Just like the light one, there's a big recovery period on it. In fact, I think it's a little bigger than the light one. Yeah, the recovery period on the hard one is even worse than the one on the light one, okay? So that said, like you might say, well, how do you use the hard one? And the way you use it is to do it on the way up by inputting what we call a tiger knee motion. In a nutshell, what you want to do is quarter forward and then hit up forward. And the game is still seeing that the quarter forward is there. And because it still sees that quarter forward, when you hit that hard kick after up forward, it'll still give you that move in the air. And you can tiger knee this to sort of protect yourself and approach, okay? This is even better with the EX version. Notice that if you do the ground EX version, you just do like a hyper hop. But if you do a tiger knee version here, you're going to end up super jumping. And if you do it at the right spot and height, you can absolutely combo off of it. Okay, so there's lots you can do with that. In particular, if you get a particular combo here, and I'll show you this now. Okay, if you actually get this grab, which I'll explain in just a second because it's the next special. If you get this, and then you immediately do the super jump EX Rayoken, it's really, really tough for your opponent to block that. And that, depending on the character, might cross up. And you can absolutely combo off of that, put them back into that corner. But you can do a mix-up by simply mixing up between the tiger knee one and the ground one. Okay, as far as this goes, let me go ahead and record the dummy holding, let's see here. Here's what I can do. I can record the dummy to do the mix-up, and then I'll try to block it. Okay, so keep in mind, this example may change for different characters. Your character may have to block this in a different direction. But right there, if you hold away from your opponent on the ground one, you will be able to block it. But if they do the air one, oops, bad. Gotta push him in the corner. If they do the air one, that is going to cross up, so you need to make sure you hold the right direction there. So what you can do is mix up between those two. It'll be tough for them to see, and you can get the super jump one crosses up, the ground one does not, but that may vary depending on the character. Okay, just keep that in mind. Okay, so that's a really, really great thing to do with the Ryokens, okay? Now her last special move is the one that you are pretty you might be aware of if you've heard the term that she's a Akuma character. She has a demon flip. If you input a DP motion and then hit a kick, she just jumps in the air like this. Okay? And from that demon flip, you have 4 options. 2 of them you already know. Okay? If you do either demon flip and hit light kick, you get the dive kick. And the dive kick is exactly the same as it would be from a normal jump. Same block advantage, same hit advantage, same everything. It does the same damage as well. Okay? If you hit, you can also do Ryokens from the demon flip. Same idea. Hit quarter forward, hit the kick. Now, if you do a demon flip Ryoken and you do the hard kick one, you will stay in place in that particular example. Okay? It should also be stated the ground Ryokens do like 60 and 70, air 55. Let's see. 55, 55, whereas the demon flip one, 55, 55. So yeah, they count as air Ryokens and do the same damage as those, okay? Now, the other 2 options, you can hit hard punch. Now, it looks very similar to her jumping hard punch. However, it's not the same, okay? And here's what I mean by that. If you hit someone with something that... Let's do a little combo here. Let's see. Let's say we get a counter hit CD. Remember how CDs can grant combos if you actually land a counter hit? Watch this. If you cancel this to a demon flip, you can land a jumping hard punch. Excuse me, the demon flip hard punch, which looks very similar, but it's not. And the reason it's not is because that demon flip hard punch actually grants a full juggle state. Which means that you can do even more damage after that. Yeah, full juggle state, okay? And what can you combo into? Well, we're going to talk about the 4th option. The one that involves you hitting both punches, the Tsubame Otoshi, okay? What it is when you hit a demon flip and then you hit both punches, you see her sort of grab at the air like that, okay? This is an air throw. It looks pretty much the exact same as her regular air throw. And in fact, it does the same damage and has the same knockdown. But what's different about it? I'll tell you what the difference is. It actually has what's called anywhere juggle, okay? If you're not familiar with anywhere juggle, I'll explain it quickly. Okay? As you know, if you hit someone in the air, notice how they backflip and they're fully invincible, okay? You can't hit them while they're in this state. They're still invincible, right? This even includes on a standing CD where you knock them down, okay? Doesn't matter. They're in the air and you can't hit them, right? Well, the demon flip air throw has what's called the anywhere juggle state, meaning that even if they're in their invincible air state off of the knockdown or off of just any old anti-air, if you cancel into a demon flip and go to air throw, that'll combo. As long as they're in the air, this will work. It doesn't matter, okay? Okay? And so that basically explains how I got this combo that I got a second ago. Okay? From the counter hit CD, I can go full juggle. Then, while they're in that full juggle state, I can hit them with hard punch, cancel that hard punch to a demon flip, and get 300 damage off of that counter hit CD. Okay? Okay? So there's lots that you can do. That demon flip throw is really, really important to her game, and I'll basically talk about that really quickly. If people are jumping at you all day, remember how I said her standing light kick is cancelable and is great anti-air? What you want to do is you want to throw a lot of these out, and if you see that your opponent jumps, you want to get ready and buffer that demon flip. Because if you actually anti-air, when you anti-air someone with your standing light kick, they don't really go anywhere. They flip in the air, but they don't go very far. And because they don't go very far, this means that if you cancel into the hard kick version of the demon flip, you're probably going to get to them, and you can probably get that anywhere juggle throw. Doesn't really matter the circumstance. If you anti-air them like this, you're going to get 132 damage, and that's going to be way better than a light uppercut. Okay? If you're feeling particularly risky, you could do the same thing off of a crouching hard punch. You just have to actually get it to hit clean. That's the issue. Oh, darn it. Let's do it this way. This will be easier. You could do the same thing off crouching hard punch. Even if you trip someone with a crouching hard kick, even trips allow that anywhere juggle state. Except on the demon flips section, as far as the demon flip is concerned, neither the hard nor the light demon flip actually allow you to get it off of the trip, but you can do it off the EX. You can actually trip into EX demon flip and still get that anywhere juggle, okay? Now, as far as the demon flip is concerned, because you can cancel into it, because it's a special, there's lots of things you can do with it. The simplest thing you could do is cancel into it from ground pressure and try to put your opponent into this ambiguous guessing game where they might have to guess if this dive kick is going to hit from the front or if it's going to hit from the back, okay? Okay? Combine this with rehops and lows, and this is a very effective basic form of Yuri offense. But I want to stress, and I'll explain that in a moment, why that's not as great as it may seem. If you watch like tournament videos, you'll see a lot of people like get hit by this cross-up. I'm going to show you that it's actually not a terribly great mix-up. There's plenty of ways around it, no matter what character you have, but it is still an effective mix-up. If your opponent blocks way too much, then you can absolutely use the hard and light demon flips in your opponent's face to try to make them worry about these sorts of things. You know, and try to get cross-up dive kicks and other things, okay? So you can use demon flips in combos. You can try to use them in the neutral game to try to throw them off, because if they see this, they might think that you're trying, they might think that you're jumping, but they don't see your forward flip in the air. Notice that Yuri, like, sort of tumbles forward. This is an indicator that there's a demon flip, okay? If she hops, hyper hops, super jumps, let's see. Hop, hyper hop, full jump forward, hop, hop, backwards, full jump, hop, hyper hop, backwards. She only tumbles if she does a full or a super jump backwards, or if she does a demon flip. And you obviously cannot demon flip backwards. So, because you cannot demon flip backwards, if you see her tumbling towards you in the air, that means that she is in her demon flip. And that's something you'll just want to keep in mind. Now the EX demon flip, it does have a property here. It actually is invincible on startup for a period. Well, or is it? Hold on. I think it's only low invincible. I think it has something. I know it's got something. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that has a frame or two of low invincibility. Okay. Let's try it this way. Turbo is so awesome. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, I feel pretty confident that this has actual low invincibility on startup. Low only, but you can try to use this. Like if your opponent tries to knock you down or rush you down right here, you can absolutely use the EX Demon Flip to try to throw them off and try to escape pressure. Also, the EX Demon Flip homes in on your opponent. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. Hold on. It just goes really far. Like, it pretty much goes the full distance of the screen. No matter where you are, though. Even if you're point blank, it will still go the full distance of the screen. But it's a lower height than a standard hyper hop for her. It's just something to keep in mind. You have access to all the same options, all the same ones. You can still dive kick or whatever. If you do the Rayoken, okay, I'm going to set myself to 1 bar here. If you do the Rayoken, it will become an EX for free. You don't have to spend an additional bar. If you do the EX Demon Flip and you input quarter forward kick, you will get 2, and it will do that for free. It doesn't cost anything extra. Okay, so that's all her specials. Last I'll get to her supers here. How Shokoken? This is very similar to Takuma's and Rio's. You can use this to win a fireball war. If you see someone do something silly, and if you have really good reaction time, You could absolutely use the Fierce one to go through stuff. Okay, the light one travels really slowly and is more for shenanigans than anything else, but you absolutely can try to beat fireballs with it. Let's see. You can use it in combos, but as far as a 1-bar super goes, the next one does more damage in almost all situations. More hits and more damage in general. As far as the super fireball goes, it actually doesn't have much invincibility on it, if any. Hold on. Yeah, so honestly, it's not going to be great. It's not a great wake-up move. Now, as far as the Hien is concerned, this one is also not a great wake-up. And with like, excuse me, with Rio and Takuma, and even with Rio and Takuma, like the light and hard versions differ. With Yuri, that's not the case. Either way, if you only spend 1 bar on this, it's going to be the same. It's not invincible, and it's kind of slow on startup, okay? Now, it does actually have a little bit of upper body invincibility, and I mean only a little bit. Like, notice right here when I get up into that CD, it hits, and if I block, obviously I get in block stun. If I were to super this and it had no upper body invincibility, it should hit me for a counter hit. But notice that... Darn it. Well, it did. But I need to come up with the right example, because I know this is true. There we go. Okay, there we go. Notice that that jumping fierce actually hits, okay, because the jump-in was timed right, whereas if I block this block stun, so better example, if I avoid this jumping hard punch, it must be because I have some sort of invincibility, right? So on the level 1 super, you have a very brief period of upper body invincibility, but because it's so slow on startup, it's really, really hard to actually time this to effectively anti-air something. In fact, it's almost impossible. I would recommend not even trying. It honestly just doesn't even... I think it's feasible. I mean, you know what? I think it's possible. Excuse me. I use feasible too much. I think it's possible, but it's not feasible. Okay? So, that said, level 1 super is more as a combo ender more than anything else. The level 2 super, however, is different. The level 2 super is fully invincible on wake up in general, and the last hit always does 100. Notice the damage here. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 40, 100. Now I'll do a really long combo. Oh, I did it wrong. I'll do this. Notice, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 16, 100. So the last hit always does 100. It's always unscaled no matter what combo you end it with. A lot of for HD combos for 2 bars are going to end with this rather than Neomax, because it actually does more damage at the end of a combo than Neomax, except in very particular cases. So that said, her level 2 super is great for anti-air because it's fully invincible during a very, very long distance. Okay? You can beat things really far away with this. That invincibility just won't quit. Not to mention, you get an untechable knockdown when they're right next to you. Remember, the passive move is on here. If it's possible for them to quick roll, they will, but they can't. Okay? So that said, you can set up either an ambiguous dive kick or something else off of that. It's just great damage, great invincibility, great anti-air, great combo ender, just probably her best super overall. Last, we have her Neomax. That little blue symbol with the red circle means that she can do it on the ground or in the air. It's basically a super air Rayoken. Okay? She throws it at a really horizontal angle. So it's possible to throw this really far if you jump in the air first. But the damage is average as far as Neomax is concerned. It's possible if you're close enough to actually combo off of this. Okay. But similar to King and similar to Takuma, it's not a great combo ender. Okay. Because it's not a great combo ender, you usually don't see it a whole lot. She has a couple 1000 damage combos that involve it, but then she combos into a super afterwards, okay? And I will show you one really particular combo, a really great corner HD combo that does use that Neomax for that purpose. Okay, there it is. Or just cancel into it from jumping light punch. That'll be great. Sure. Good advice. Do that. Don't do that. Let's see. What else? That's pretty much all her moves, okay? And I was covering a lot of her neutral game as I was talking, okay? What you really want to do with Yuri is occupy this half-screen distance. At this distance, about the round start, okay? At the round start, if you hyper-hop towards your opponent, you're within striking distance of your jumping normals and of combos, right? So this space right here, what you want to do is occupy the space in front of you with fireballs, particularly Fierce and EX, standing light kick. Even if you like run forward and hit light kick, this is really, really annoying for people that like to hop all day. Use hard punch and hard kick, and standing CD as other anti-air. Standing CD is great against all jump heights. It has a gigantic, ridiculous hitbox on it. If you are throwing out standing light kicks and CDs, notice when your opponent is close, because if you get close to them, cancel it to a demon flip, get bigger damage, and you could try to get some more offense off of something, okay? If you do get that anti-air demon flip, if you get that anti-air normal, cancel to a demon flip, get that anywhere juggle, you could do more off of it, so keep that in mind. Also, don't forget, neutral jump CD is excellent. A forward jump CD is also a really good defensive move because it has great air-to-air hitbox and presence, okay? There's lots you can do with her air normals, and lots you can do with her ground normals and ground fireball, and even light uppercut as a reaction. Remember, this is a great anti-air on reaction if you're very fast. Like, notice I didn't even hit the forward until they were on their way down. Okay? You can absolutely light uppercut for lots of different things. It's fully invincible, so you can use that as an anti-air if your reaction time is on point. So she has great anti-air options and just great defensive options in general. Don't forget, if you want to take more risk, if you really think they're going to jump, throw out that Siha and get a bigger reward because you read that jump. You'll see Romance do that in matches. He'll just throw out the Fierce Siha. It's not because he's playing completely risky or anything. He's just saying, I think he's going to jump, and I think he's going to jump into this because this is a fat-ass hitbox. And with that said, you know, if it works, go for it. So say your opponent like doesn't want to jump in at you, they don't want to jump in, then go in, okay? You have a command grab. You can make sure that if they're blocking for any amount of time, you absolutely can make them regret that decision in two ways, okay? Number one is, of course, good old run-up command grab. It almost functions like Clark. In fact, it functions exactly the same. You can use rehops, okay? Use different strings, okay? Use your cross-ups as well, particularly dive kick. Okay, use your cross-ups, particularly dive kick, okay, to try to make them, you know, break their defense. Use run-up throw and use strings of different types, okay, to try to get them to break their guard, okay? Now, I did want to comment on this. Okay, what I'm doing right here is I'm setting the dummy to do a close fierce, a hard kick demon flip, and then a dive kick as soon as is possible. Okay? In fact, let's see. Let me do this one more time. Okay? I had to record the jump there. Now you might say to yourself, this happens to a lot of players. They block a fierce punch from Yuri, And then they're like, oh no, the demon flip is coming, I'm not sure what to do, is this going to cross up or not? And they try to either block the cross up or walk forward or something. Hey, if you walk forward, it becomes a cross up, great. But the idea is you don't have to block this, and I want to make sure I demonstrate this. The reason I recorded that jump is to show you that number one, you do not need to be blocking when she does that demon flip. If you hold straight up, she'll just hit you, okay? She'll just hit you and you will just, you know, leave scot-free. The other thing you could do is you could backdash for a similar result, okay? You do not have to block this, okay? Don't worry about getting hit by this. If you get hit by that dive kick in one of these scenarios, you don't care. Quick roll, create more space, and avoid that entire mix-up. Not to mention, there are plenty of more specific counters you can do. Remember, this is the earliest possible timing of this dive kick. You can still trade with it, with a lot of crouching Cs that are fast enough, okay? You could trade with it. Okay? That's if you want to take the risk of actually hitting the button, but you absolutely can. And in some characters' cases, if you hit a standing normal, that will actually just beat it due to timing. Okay? Even if she does that dive kick as soon as is possible, there are plenty of ways around it. And let's not even talk about the most obvious examples of roll. You could roll. You could guard cancel whatever she cancels the dive kick from, the demon flip from. And then in some characters' cases, uppercut might be an option. In Yuri's case, not so much. Oh yeah, light uppercut, great. That's actually a reversal. I'm doing that as soon as possible. So just keep in mind, if they try to do any normal, a close fierce or a crouch fierce into a demon flip, there's no way that you have to block that dive kick. So don't try to block it. Backdash it. Jump it. Roll it. Guard cancel beforehand. Standing jab or standing hard punch may be able to counter. Standing light kick may be able to counter. Crouching C may be able to trade. You may be able to uppercut. You literally have tons of options. Let's not forget possible supers and other cool stuff. Okay? Do not let them cancel into dive kicks all day. And by the way, if you do standing light kick, it's even worse. Like, it's even worse on block because the standing light kick doesn't have as much advantage. In this case, if you neutral jump, it'll just miss. In this case, if you backdash, like, let's move a little closer here. Point blank distance. If you do this, it'll just miss. If you backflip, if you backdash, that could miss too. Just a matter of your timing. Standing jab still works. Remember, because it doesn't have as much block stun, a lot of your options are even better off of this, okay? It just doesn't work, okay? If you're a Yuri player and you're doing this sort of stuff, and you're actually getting them to block that cross-up, there's a really good chance they just don't understand the block data of this. If you're fighting against Yuris, keep this in mind. Don't let them cancel into demon flips all day. If you're a Yuri player, your goal is to make them block all day by doing rehops and cross-ups, by canceling into fireballs, okay? By having a basic relentless offense. And if they do block all day, you can tell that they're blocking way too much, then go to a demon flip and try to mix them up that way. Okay? But going into demon flips is not going to work great against people that know how to play. As a low-level player, though, use it a lot and try to figure out where their knowledge is so you can get a good idea of how good they are. Okay. That's basically her close-range offense. Let's see, what's another thing? As far as combos are concerned, she does have a nice link. Honestly, crouching light kick, standing light kick is going to be your basic combo string. You can go into the fierce uppercut. You can even stick 3 crouching light kicks before the standing if you're fast. Okay? And you can cancel to the command grab if you do your strings fast enough. If you want to make that command grab combo but you don't want to do the 3 attacks, you can just do 2. That'll work just fine as well. And if you do land that command grab, this is going to happen a lot. If you land a command grab of any kind, you get an untechable knockdown and a really, really nice super jump cross-up setup. You can use hard punch or hard kick, or you can interrupt that jump with a dive kick. This is a really, really nasty mix-up that works really well after any bread and butter combo. Think of this as a vortex, if you will. Another thing you could do off of this mix-up is hyper hop at this range and try to cross them up from a hyper hop. You can do that, or you could also do a hyper hop dive kick. Okay, that would be great. You could also do something tricky. by like say whiff canceling into a demon flip or something. There's lots of great mix-ups you can do off of this dive kick. Excuse me, off of this command grab if it hits. This includes on the EX version. On the EX version, they're on the ground a little longer and they skid away, but you can get the exact same combo. Excuse me, the exact same mix-up. You can get the exact same mix-up, okay? Now, for a little variation, you can use crouching light kick to crouching jab, okay? The same combos are possible, again, if you get the string fast enough. You can also use a standing jab. Even if they're crouching, this should hit on most characters. Okay? So feel free to use whatever combo you prefer. Okay? So, that said, there's one other combo. Obviously, you can do close fierce punch into whatever you want. But there's also a nice link you can do. From crouching light kick, you can actually link a close hard punch or a crouching hard punch. Either one. Doesn't matter. They will both combo. Okay? And the reason this is useful is because it allows you 2 hits to confirm into an EX Siha. If you're mid-screen and you land an EX Siha, immediately do the hard kick demon flip and hit the hard punch to get the juggle. Then, fierce punch, demon flip, air grab to finish the combo. Another thing you could do if you wanted, oops, is after that fierce punch you could just do your level 2 super because it starts up fast and that'll be really good. And if you land that level 2 super, guess what you get? Remember, untakeable knockdown and great screen position. Okay, so lots of really, really great knockdowns she gets if you can actually land a good bread and butter combo. And if you actually land an EX Siha in the corner, woohoo! Okay, then you can do a fierce Siha and then a fierce fireball for great damage. And right there, if you want to just stop at 1 bar, oops, let's turn this on here. You can do a fierce uppercut for 378, or you can do this. You can do a close hard kick into a demon flip. Or a hard punch, either one, doesn't matter. They do the same damage. And get that anywhere juggle. And then go into that same mix-up. Remember this one? I'll get into that in a minute. And then, let's see, what do we got here? Outside of that, if you do have a drive cancel, let's see. If you actually land a command grab in the corner, you can drive cancel it to the fierce Siha, fierce fireball, and then do a level 1 or level 2 super. The level 1 super, you do that. Okay, so if you actually land the command grab, you can drive cancel it into bigger damage. And in mid-screen, you can just go straight into the demon flip into the same options. Okay, so let's see. It should be said though that you cannot drive cancel the EX version of the command grab. Just keep that in mind. You cannot drive cancel the EX one, but you get a great mix-up, so go ahead and do that. Okay, other combos you might want to know. Honestly, that's the important stuff. I don't use a whole lot more than that. I'll go into the HD combos. There's 2 particular ones I want to show you. One of them is actually her Trial 9. Her Trial 9 is a really, really excellent combo, and it's probably her best damage for 2 bars in the corner, or at least very close to her absolute best damage. Let's go ahead and turn on the hit guard. Okay, if you actually land an HD in the corner for 2 bars, her Trial 9 is very, very good to use. This is going to be 763 from Crouching Lights, okay? If you can't do it from crouching lines, let's just try it from jump fierce, close fierce. It's way better damage. Pretty much every single button in that combo is hard punch, with the exception of the very last uppercut you do, which is a light. Because if you did a fierce uppercut right there, they would fall out of it. But this is excellent, excellent damage for 2 bars. And, let's see. You can always get good damage on your HDs, even if you have 0 bars, and even if you have 1, but I usually try to reserve it for 2 bars. Keep in mind, I'm not going to show you every HD combo that exists. I can just show you, you know, a bunch of good ones. Just the ones that I use most often, okay? Now, if you do HD them towards the, you know, the back of the screen, mid-screen, no matter where you are, you can always carry them with 3 or less drive cancels, and I'll explain that right now. Okay, that's 705. So how this is working is, after you HD, what you want to do is you want to do a light uppercut into the hard demon flip. And then you juggle them with that demon flip hard punch. Once you get to the corner, cancel a light uppercut into a fierce fireball. Fierce uppercut, fierce fireball. Fierce uppercut, fierce Siha, and this finishes your hyperdrive meter. Fierce fireball, super. Nice and easy. Obviously, this will take a lot of practice if you're a beginner, but all of her other HD combos are derivative of that. If you're closer, you can just do 2 of the drive cancels instead of 3. Get to the corner, start with light uppercut to fierce fireball. Oh, dropped it. And then you can just do a bunch of fierce uppercut, fierce fireballs all the way until the meter ends. Just as the meter ends, same ender. Cancel to fierce Siha. And finish the exact same way for a little bit better damage. Okay? And even if they're a little bit closer, you can just do 1 demon flip and do a very similar combo. Honestly, even if they're really close, I like to do 2 of the drive cancels, just because it's so clean looking at the end of the HD. There's probably a really, really, really efficient combo for this. Ah, darn it. Here's one you can try. You could do something like that. There's lots of variations you could do. You could just use that one if you want a simple one. There's other more complicated ones you can do there. But as long as you have HD meter, and even if you have 0 bars, you can absolutely always carry them to the corner if you use this drive cancel. Okay, so that's just about going to wrap up the Yuri tutorial. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this one was also a little bit quicker than the last one. Anyways, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.